cut out our bag parts, flexweave backpack, and in this video we are going to see how to stitch them. These are handle, bag, the bag handle, the side pockets, the front pockets, the front panel, and the back panel. If you want to see how we cut these parts of the bag, refer to our link in the description box and watch the videos on cutting of flexweave backpack. Okay, now remember the sides. We took 5 inches out. This is the 5 inches that we took out. So what I did was to place my fabric on my interface in my foam and mark out with my tailor's chalk. I mark out my 5 inches for my side on both sides. The middle is still 10 inches. 10 inches for the front panel. So after marking this, marking your 5 inches, after marking your 5 inches, you rule a straight line up. Make sure it's equal. You rule it up. Then what we are going to do next is to go and stitch it down on this line. Stitch it down. Stitch also on this line down. Now for flexibility of moving the sides of the bag, you stitch after this, move to the next a bit like ½ inch, move like ½ inch and stitch from up to down towards the side of the bag, not in the front. The same thing do to this side. After stitching this straight line, you move to the like ½ inch, you move from up to down, you stitch from up to down towards the sides of the bag. I'll go and do that now and come and show us. The next thing, before I go and do that, this is our pocket, side pocket. What I'll do is I'll place it front facing, right side facing right side, right side facing right side, and I'll stitch here, stitch here, stitch here. Then I'll turn it inside out. After stitching it, I'll turn it inside out. I'll not stitch, note, I'll not stitch this top, so that I'll be able to turn it inside out. I'll turn it inside out, give it a good press. Then I'll now tape this top, this slanted part. I'll tape it like this, and when I do it, I'll come and show you the result. So let me go and do that for the stitching on the back panel and the side pockets. Then I'll come and show you the result. Okay, I'll finish stitching the back panel. The back panel, the stitch and the other ½ inch I asked us to stitch. So now this stitching it like this now will enable it to fold. When you want to fold, enable it to fold like this. This is how the back will stand together with the sides of the bag. So I've also stitched the side pocket. I place right side facing right side, and I stitch like I told us round. Then I left this side open. I use this side to turn it inside out, then give it a good press. Then I now taped this part. I taped it like so. So we'll drop this one for now. Then we'll now pick the handle, the bag handle. These are the two handles for the bag. Now fold it into two. I'm working on the two on this at the same time. I'm working on the two at the same time. So fold it into two. Fold it into two. Then from this closed part, you just make something like an arc from the beginning. Make an arc maybe to like 1 inch thereabouts. Like mine is almost 1.5 inch. Almost 1.5 inch. So 1/4 inch. So you now cut off this side. Cut off this side. Now this is how it looks like. Now use this fabric to place on my lining of the bag handle. The bag handle lining. Place it on the bag handle lining and trim off like this. Place it also on the foam and trim off. After doing that, I'll now take one of the handle like this, turn it to the wrong side of the fabric, then place my foam, that is after trimming off, shaping it the way I shaped the handle. Then I will place my right side of my lining like so. That is after trimming off the same way I did. Then I'll now stitch from this point. I'll stitch down like this. Then after that, I'll now tape it. But this time around, I'll be using my black tape. I'll now tape it from this point. I'll tape it from this point down to this point for the two handles. After that, I'll come and show you the results. I have finished with my handle. I finished stitching my handle and piping it. Then if you notice, I also stitch at the edge, this edge of the handle. After piping it, I stitch at this edge of the handle. The same thing, piping and stitching at the edge of the handle. So the next thing, for this our bag belt, it normally frays. So what we do is, after cutting, just after this it will not frail again, to hold it in place. So now, after, this thing is still rough, so let me just trim it out. So after using my lighter to hold it in place, the next thing, I'll use my adjuster. Remember our adjuster? We insert from the middle and you take it down to the next point. See how I placed it? One is longer than one, this one is shorter. And I fold it over like so. Then place it on my bag handle, the edge of my bag handle. Place it on the edge of my bag handle. Then for you to make it accurately, you can pick like say 2 inches and you place it on that 2 inches. Then I'll now stitch here, stitch here, stitch here, stitch here, and come and show you. If you like, you can also stitch inside just to make it firm, just to make it really firm. I'll do the same thing on the second handle, that aside. Then I'll take my back panel, then I'll cut, sorry, this measurement I use for my adjuster, the belt measurement is 7 inches. That's what I use for my adjuster, 7 inches. So for this one now, this belt measurement is 13 inches. 13 inches. So I will take my pocket, remember our side pocket, I will place it like so. The slanting, the down slope, the one that is slanting down, will face the front side, leaving a little allowance for me to sew here. Then I'll place it on this. Remember our 2 lines that we stitched, I'll place it and stitch on this line and stitch on this line for you to follow the same. But while I'm doing that, I will now come by 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch, and I now attach my 13 inches bag belt like so, and stitch it down while stitching the pocket. I'll do the same thing I did here is the same thing I'll also do on this part. 1.5 inches, the same thing I did is what I'll also do on this part, and stitch it. So let me go and stitch the pocket. I'll stitch this side, the down part, and this side. Remember, this side is a pocket, so I'm not going to stitch this side. I'm not stitching this side. I'll stitch like this side, the 2 lines, and the down part. Then let me go and stitch it and attach my bag adjuster to the handle. Then I'll come back and show you how it looks like. Okay, welcome. I finished attaching the side pocket to the back panel. I finished attaching it. As you can see, I've attached the side pocket to the back panel, and I've also attached my adjuster to my handle, to my bag handle. The next thing we are going to do is to cut out a belt about 8 inches. 8 inches. 8 inches belt. Then you measure from the top of this back panel 1 inches. First of all, you fold into 2 to get the midpoint. Fold into 2 like so to get the midpoint. Then you mark it. You mark the midpoint like the way I've done it. Then from the midpoint, you measure 1 inch. 1 inch. Then you just make a mark there. Then you pick your your belt that you cut, you place it at that midpoint. Then your handle also, this is the front part of your handle. You place it like this. Let me make it so you see it very clearly. You take it like this and you place. This is also the front part of the second handle. You take it this way and you place. Let me make it very well. You can see. Then you stitch down on this 1 inch. Stitch down. After stitching, okay, I'll just go and stitch it down and bring it so we see. I'll just go and stitch it down like this. After arranging it, I'll go and stitch it down and bring it so that we can see. Okay, I finished attaching my handles. I stitched it across. I finished attaching it to the back panel. The next thing I'll go and do is to take this tape. The measurement don't really matters. Is you take the measurement that will be enough to cover this rough edge. So you take it down to your sewing machine and you stitch it down like this and like this to cover the rough edge of this back, the handle. Then after that, after doing this, after using the tape to cover the rough edge of the handle, the next thing you're going to do is to take the lining. This is the lining for the back panel. You take the lining, the back, just the wrong side, facing the wrong side, like this, like so. Then you now stitch round, all the way round, just to use the lining now to cover all these stitches at the back. Use the lining to cover it. Then after that, after using the lining, stitching the lining to the back panel, you now fold the back panel again into two, like so, into two, and get the midpoint of the back panel. Then when you get the midpoint of the back panel, after you've done that, you now tape it. You now tape it like so. Tape it round, all the way round. You tape it round like so. I'll do that and I'll come and show us the. Okay, I've finished joining my back panel to the lining and taping it round like this. Taping it round. Also, I've covered up the rough edge of the handle with my tape. That aside,